In 1915, the British Member of Parliament, Horatio Bottomley, recommended that after the war, if by chance you should discover one day in a restaurant you are being served by a German waiter, you will throw the soup in his foul face. If you find yourself sitting at the side of a German clerk, you will spill the ink pot over his foul head. Now that's strident and intolerant, and I should have thought ridiculous and ineffective as rhetoric, even in its own time. Contrast it with the opening sentence of chapter 2, which is the passage most often quoted as strident or shrill. It's not for me to say whether I succeeded, but my intention was closer to robust but humorous broadside than shrill polemic. In public readings of the God Delusion, this is the one passage that is guaranteed to get a good-natured laugh, which is why my wife and I invariably use it as the warm-up act to break the ice with a new audience. If I could venture to suggest why the humour works, I think it is the incongruous mismatch between a subject that could have been stridently or vulgarly expressed and the actual expression in a drawn-out list of Latinate or pseudo-scholarly words: filicidal, megalomaniacal, pestilential. My model here was one of the funniest writers of the 20th century, and nobody could call Evelyn Waugh shrill or strident. I even gave the game away by mentioning his name in the anecdote that immediately follows. Book critics or theatre critics can be derisively negative and gain delighted praise for the trenchant wit of their review. But in criticisms of religion, even clarity ceases to be a virtue and sounds like aggressive hostility. A politician may attack an opponent scathingly across the floor of the House and earn plaudits for his robust pugnacity. But let a soberly reasoning critic of religion employ what would in other contexts sound merely direct or forthright, and it will be described as a rant. Polite society will purse its lips and shake its head, even secular polite society, and especially that part of secular society that loves to announce, "I'm an atheist, but..." You are only preaching to the choir. What's the point? Convert's Corner on richarddawkins.net gives the lie to this premise, but even taking it at face value, there are good answers. One is that the non-believing choir is a lot bigger than many people think, especially in America. But again, especially in America, it is largely a closet choir, and it desperately needs encouragement to come out. Judging by the thanks I received all over North America on my book tour, the encouragement that people like Sam Harris, Dan Dennett, Christopher Hitchens and me are able to give is greatly appreciated. A more subtle reason for preaching to the choir is the need to raise consciousness. When the feminists raised our consciousness about sexist pronouns, they would have been preaching to the choir where the more substantive issues of the rights of women and the evils of discrimination against them were concerned. But that decent liberal choir still needed its consciousness raised with respect to everyday language. However right on we may have been on the political issues of rights and discrimination, we nevertheless still unconsciously bought into linguistic conventions that made half the human race feel excluded. There are other linguistic conventions that need to go the same way as sexist pronouns, and the atheist choir is not exempt. We all need our consciousness raised. Atheists as well as theists unconsciously observe society's convention that we must be especially polite and respectful to faith. And I never tire of drawing attention to society's tacit acceptance of the labelling of small children with the religious opinions of their parents. Atheists need to raise their own consciousness of the anomaly. Religious opinion is the one kind of parental opinion that, by almost universal consent, can be fastened upon children who are, in truth, too young to know what their opinion really is. There is no such thing as a Christian child, only a child of Christian parents. Seize every opportunity to ram it home. You are just as much of a fundamentalist as those you criticize. No, please, it is all too easy to mistake passion that can change its mind for fundamentalism, which never will. Fundamentalist Christians are passionately opposed to evolution, and I am passionately in favor of it. Passion for passion, we are evenly matched, and that, according to some, means we are equally fundamentalist. But, to borrow an aphorism whose source I'm unable to pin down, when two opposite points of view are expressed with equal force, the truth does not necessarily lie midway between them. It is possible for one side to be simply wrong, and that justifies passion on the other side. Fundamentalists know what they believe, and they know that nothing will change their minds. The quotation from Kurt Wise in the book says it all. If all the evidence in the universe turns against creationism, I would be the first to admit it, but I would still be a creationist because that is what the Word of God seems to indicate. Here I must stand. It is impossible to overstress the difference between such a passionate commitment to biblical fundamentals and the true scientist's equally passionate commitment to evidence. The fundamentalist Kurt Wise proclaims that all the evidence in the universe would not change his mind. The true scientist, however passionately he may believe in evolution, knows exactly what it would take to change his mind. Evidence. As J.B.S. Haldane said when asked what evidence might contradict evolution, fossil rabbits in the Precambrian. Let me coin my own opposite version of Kurt Wise's manifesto. If all the evidence in the universe turns in favor of creationism, I would be the first to admit it, and I would immediately change my mind. As things stand, however, all available evidence, and there is a vast amount of it, favors evolution. It is for this reason and this reason alone that I argue for evolution with a passion that matches the passion of those who argue against it. My passion is based on evidence. Theirs, flying in the face of evidence as it does, is truly fundamentalist. I'm an atheist myself, but religion is here to stay. Live with it. You want to get rid of religion? Good luck to you. You think you can get rid of religion? What planet are you living on? Religion is a fixture. Get over it. I could bear any of these downers if they were uttered in something approaching a tone of regret or concern. On the contrary, the tone of voice is sometimes downright gleeful. I don't think it's masochism. More probably we can put it down to belief in belief again. These people may not be religious themselves, but they love the idea that other people are religious. This brings me to my final category of naysayers. I'm an atheist myself, but people need religion. What are you going to put in its place? How are you going to comfort the bereaved? How are you going to fill the need? What patronizing condescension! You and I, of course, are much too intelligent and well-educated to need religion. But ordinary people, hoi polloi, the Orwellian proles, the Huxleyan deltas and epsilon semi-morons, need religion. I'm reminded of an occasion when I was lecturing at a conference on the public understanding of science, and I briefly inveighed against dumbing down. In the question and answer session at the end, one member of the audience stood up and suggested that dumbing down might be necessary to bring minorities and women to science. His tone of voice told that he genuinely thought he was being liberal and progressive. I can just imagine what the women and minorities in the audience thought about it.